I've worked night shifts in a hospital for over a decade. You see strange things when the halls are empty. Shadowy corners, flickering lights. But nothing could have prepared me for the man with a bag over his head. Because when he came into room 6, I realized something. Not every patient who screams at night is confused. Some of them are trying to warn us. It was a Thursday night in January, freezing cold, the kind that sticks to your skin even indoors. I worked as a nurse in an older hospital on the edge of town, the kind of building that's had wings added over the years, so nothing lines up quite right. My shift started at 10 p.m. and by 2:30 a.m., the halls had gone completely still. No visitors, no doctors, just a skeleton crew and the buzz of old fluorescent lights. I liked the quiet, mostly. Patients slept. Charts stayed up to date. Sometimes I'd even get a moment to sit and sip lukewarm coffee. But that night, the silence felt heavy, oppressive, like something was pressing down on the walls. I was covering the East Wing, mostly elderly patients in recovery, some in post-op, and one long-term bed in room 6. Mr. Halverson. He was 84, recovering from a hip replacement and battling early-stage dementia. Sweet man, confused sometimes, but always polite. I just finished logging vitals when I heard it. A scream, not a moan, not a call bell, a scream. I dropped my pen and ran down the hallway. The sound was coming from room 6. When I burst in, Mr. Halverson was upright in bed, eyes wide, hands trembling. "He's in here," he yelled. "He's standing there. He's got a bag on his head. Don't let him take me." I looked toward the foot of the bed. Nothing. Just an empty room, drawn curtains, a low whir from the vitals monitor. But the look in his eyes, that wasn't confusion. That was terror. Real, visceral, gut-deep fear. I tried to calm him. I told him no one was there. I turned on all the lights, pulled back the curtains, opened the bathroom door. "He was here," Halverson said, panting. "Right there, watching me. A plastic bag on his head. His hands were all wrong." He kept shaking, and I stayed with him until he dozed off. I chalked it up to a nightmare. Sleep meds can do that. But deep down, something felt wrong. I stepped out of room 6 and into the hallway, and nearly slipped. The floor was wet, not puddled, just damp, like condensation had formed in patches along the tiles. And it was cold, much colder than the rest of the wing. I rubbed my arms, thinking maybe the heat had gone out again, but only in that hallway. I checked the thermostat, 72 degrees, but it felt like 40, like walking into a freezer. As I walked back to the nurse's station, I caught something out of the corner of my eye, a shape, just at the end of the hall. It looked like a person, standing still. No details, no movement. I blinked, and it was gone. I didn't say anything to the other nurse on duty. I didn't want to sound paranoid, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. Around 4 a.m., I went to review the overnight logs at the main desk. While there, one of the security guards came in, Trevor. He was new, just a few weeks on the job. "Hey," he said, rubbing the back of his neck. "You guys didn't have anyone walking around in the east hallway earlier, right?" My blood ran cold. "Why?" I asked. He hesitated, then held out his phone. He'd taken a picture of the monitor screen, grainy CCTV footage. It showed the hallway outside room 6, and in the far corner of the frame, there was a figure. Male, tall, standing perfectly still, with something over his head, a white bag, or maybe clear plastic. You could see the way it sagged near the chin, like it was being held tight at the neck. "Who the hell is that?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Trevor shook his head. No one ever passed the cameras after 1 a.m. That guy was never recorded entering or leaving. Later that day, after my shift, I couldn't sleep. I kept picturing Halverson's terrified face, the shape at the end of the hallway, the footage. I did some digging. Turns out the East Wing used to be something else entirely. Before it was turned into patient recovery, it had served as the temporary morgue during a flu outbreak in the 1960s. Back when the hospital was understaffed, overrun, and desperate for space. There was a story buried in an archived newspaper clipping. A man had died in the hallway outside room 6. He'd been mistakenly tagged as deceased and left on a stretcher overnight, covered in a plastic isolation bag. By the time someone checked again, it was too late. He'd suffocated. They called it a tragic documentation error. Never released the man's name, but the building remembers. I took a few nights off after that. Didn't feel right being there. But nursing doesn't wait, and we were short-staffed as always. When I came back, I asked to be rotated to another wing. My supervisor said no, shortages. So I was back on East Wing duty. It had been quiet for a while. A week passed with no issues. Halverson had been moved to a rehab facility, and room 6 was empty. I avoided it when I could. Until one night, around 3 a.m., a call light went off. Room 6. My heart dropped. I checked the census. The room was unoccupied. No one assigned. I went down the hall anyway, forcing myself to be rational. The door was cracked open. I pushed it wider. The bed was made. Lights off. Room still. But the call button was glowing red. I stepped in. And then I heard it. Plastic. Crinkling. Not loud, like someone adjusting a plastic sheet or twisting a bag. It came from the far side of the bed. I turned my flashlight on and saw the impression of feet beneath the curtain. Just two shapes, standing still. I couldn't move. For what felt like an eternity, I just stared. Then the curtain twitched. Once. Twice. And then slowly, so slowly, it began to pull back. I don't remember deciding to run. I just turned and sprinted down the hall like hell was behind me. I didn't stop until I reached the nurse's station. My chest was tight. My legs felt like lead. When I returned with backup, the room was empty. No feet, no crinkling plastic. But the call light had turned off. A week later, a new patient was admitted to room 6. He lasted 2 nights before demanding to be moved. He said he couldn't sleep, that someone was standing in the corner every time he closed his eyes, and he described it exactly. A man, wearing a white bag, just staring, not breathing, just watching. I didn't tell him what I knew, what I'd seen. He was moved to another wing, and room 6 was sealed for maintenance. They said it's undergoing renovations now, but sometimes when I walk past it on the day shift, I still feel that cold draft under the door. And if I listen close, I swear I hear plastic crinkling. So if you ever work the night shift in an old hospital, don't ignore the screams. And if a patient says they see someone you can't, believe them, because not everyone who dies in a hospital leaves. If you've made it this far, ask yourself this: would you check room 6 alone at 3 in the morning? Let me know in the comments. And if you've ever worked a night shift and seen something you can't explain, share your story, because some of us are still trying to understand what we saw.